in the thing. Dang, bro, you can't get in the TV.
Perfect. There you go. What's up, y'all? Let's get it. Let's get it. Oh, sorry. What's up, y'all? Awa, what's up? What's up? Come on, Jiki, what's up, sis? Tierra, what's up, sis? All right, bet. Here we go. Family, what up?
Hey. Magic technology.
Get it. How y'all feeling?
Good. How are you?
What's up, y'all?
Hi, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, cool. Well, let's get into it. Y'all know how we get down. Jeremiah Chase says, "Can wait a while." You know what I mean?
He never tells me the intro part. He just goes into it, and hi y'all, Brandy, Chase.
This is our first time actually going live together on Instagram, because in the pandemic we were never together. Never together.
We wasn't married yet.
Yeah, we wasn't married, so we was never did it live, like sitting next to each other. So
that's
this
why
is
we're
like
still trying to figure out the space, because it's y'all comfortable. Like y'all look like y'all been doing this. We got half a face right now, but we're not even gonna. The face will get better throughout the week. So just do it. Y'all don't pay attention to us anyway, because our special guests are the important ones and they're positioned right in the camera. So
we practice.
All right, so this is how we gonna do it. So everybody, thank you for us coming into Seskin Witty Wild's Clueless Honeymoon Conference. Just a brief synopsis about the conference. We're interviewing couples all couples that waited. We got couples who both were virgins that waited. We have couples who weren't virgins, but they have waited, because the Bible says you don't know anybody until you have slept with them, right? And we have that blend. So all throughout this week, this is crazy. We're covering everything. This is about to be really dope. And we're gonna go hard. And so I'm so excited. We have this beautiful couple here, the Rockies. This is so crazy. Thank you guys for joining us. All right, right before we get into all of the meat and potatoes, I want you guys to take this time just to introduce yourselves, tell everybody who you are and what you guys do.
Awesome. Well, I'm Kim. This is my husband, Tyler. Hi. We've been married for 9 years as of last week. So
Yay!
And we have a beautiful 3-year-old little boy who I just got to sleep at 8:30. Hallelujah! Need to be asleep for this, because he runs our life. We pretty much just follow him around, but he's amazing and he does all the things. He's living his best life. His name is Abijah. I hang out and have fun, and I set up a tent and talk to people about Jesus for a living. And Tyler?
So I don't even know what I do.
Tyler's main job.
My actual occupation is as a mason. I've done a lot of work in different masonry fields, so brick, block, stone laying, and most recently restoring chimneys. I've worked as a pastor in the past. I have a degree in counseling, Master of Divinity, and once I got my thesis submitted, a Master's of Theology. I'm a member of Evangelical Theological Society as well as the Society for Biblical Literature. So the thing that makes money, I guess, is bricklaying, and then I use bricklaying as a way to pay for ministry and things like that, because a lot of the places that I work for and with just couldn't afford my student loans. There I am.
So now
Yeah.
we brick and block, and we tell people about Jesus.
Yeah, there's tons of great like evangelism opportunities because I'm in a very secular environment, so it's great. I mean, even today I had a good conversation with a young guy about what even is the purpose of sex, right? Just that idea. And before you even get into like should you or shouldn't you within or outside of marriage, things like he's not a Christian, but like just from a purely philosophical standpoint, what is going on with intercourse? And you know that's not the kind of conversation you can have if you're stuck, you know, just in a church your whole life. So like, I love that I get both sides of, I guess, this world that we live in.
Right.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
I just try to be the best Christian I can each day.
Well, yeah, no, like for real, like yo, like I definitely agree with that. You know, it's just like, look, and that's real ministry, you know what I'm saying? Actually reaching out to people and talking to people that's outside of the church building, you know. I feel like people, they say that till like their faces blue, but you know, I feel like a lot of people lack the work, you know.
Yeah.
But and yo, so kudos to you, bro. All right, so look, let's get into it. First question, how did you guys meet? Like, what happened?
We always say, do you want to hear the long story or the short story? So we'll give you one in between. So
I want to hear the long story.
I am 40 years old.
I'm 30.
And Tyler's 30. Tyler just turned 30. So we are 10 years apart. So when I was 28, Tyler was 18, and I was dating someone else, and that didn't work out. We'll say that.
Well, hold on a second, because that's not how we met.
Well,
that's not. Let's not cut off.
Get it, bro.
I was 15, and she was 25, and she was my youth pastor's girlfriend. That's how we met.
Oh.
Less scandalous than it is.
Wait a minute now.
That was a honeymoon.
That's how we met.
We were going to a concert. He was a youth grouper. We picked him up along with like 7 other people, and we were going to a concert up in middle of New Jersey. Newsboys that got rained out. And so Tyler and a whole bunch of other people, we hung out for the rest of the day. So that was our official first meeting. Tyler at 15. Me at 25.
Yep.
Bounced 3 years later. It didn't work out with that other guy. Tyler and I were hanging out with a whole group of friends, and one of our friends was like, Tyler, you're 18, you're handsome. How come you're not dating anyone? And he goes, oh, I'm going to marry Kim in 3 years. I'm going to go to school and marry. And I was like, no, you're not.
Her exact words were, good luck with that. And she laughed and walked away.
Wow.
Like, this kid is going to college, and I'm never going to talk to him again. And so he goes to college, and then I actually missed him. I was like, oh, wow, you're not hanging out with our friend group anymore.
Aww.
Where did you go? And so with that, then we started talking to some of our close friends and other youth directors and youth leaders and saying, can we actually date? Is this okay? And they're like, yeah, he's 18. He's amazing. Of course. And so we started dating when Tyler was like 18 and a half, and then we got married when Tyler turned 21. So.
Ooh.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I know
Tell him, Tyler.
He ain't waste no time. Let's get it.
He said what he said. He said what he said.
So when I was 16, I started working for Kim. She was my boss for a number of years. So that's how I got to observe her in the world, as it were, to see if she was a valid candidate for marriage.
Wow.
So I had 3 years of observing her before I decided to pursue her. And when I decided to pursue her, I was very proactive in finding out about her interests, her love languages, and exploiting them. Right? She's a big like acts of service person, and I was like, I'm going to serve the Jesus out of you. You won't see someone. And then when I went to college, there was just this massive service vacuum.
My
Like,
lawn got mowed, dishes were washed.
I would walk to her house before I had to go to high school and like make her breakfast, right? And be like, hey, like here's breakfast. I'm gonna go to school now.
Dang. Tyler was putting in that work.
Putting in work.
He still makes breakfast though, so 9 years later.
Right. Still
I
making
mean, it's happened
great.
at this point. Feel weird not to.
So God's timing is perfect.
Yeah.
It is.
So all right. So let me ask you this. So we Brandy's mom had an issue with me being young. So was there like an issue there?
Yep. So my parents knew, and they liked Tyler as a person. But
Right.
then when he asked to marry me, they were like, let's talk. So Tyler and my dad were like, let's meet monthly and like, let's talk about this. Let's find out what you're going to do. He was still in college. Like he was graduating
Williamson Trade School.
Williams Trade School. But this is like November. So he hadn't graduated yet. This is the beginning of his senior year. And he's like, I want to marry your daughter. And they're like, you're still in school. What?
So a couple of things that I just want to add there. So first off, I told Kim's dad within like 2 months of starting to date her where this was going, right? He knew where the train was heading. All right, he was just in denial about it, right? I took him out. I was like, hey, Bob, like, just so you know, dating your daughter, my expectation is to graduate from college, get a job in the masonry industry, and marry your daughter. So that's where things are going. If you see something along the way that's a problem, something you want to flag, go ahead and say something. He did not say anything until I was like, hey, so about marriage. And he's like, whoa, bro. Like, you got to slow down a bit. And it wasn't just that I was young. It was also my parents had announced they were getting divorced that year. So it was both those things. There was the age, then there was the, like, what's going on with him emotionally because his parents divorced and how do we handle it.
Okay.
And her dad dragged her feet for 6 months, not giving me an answer one way or the other about whether I could marry her or not. And eventually I called him out on it and I said, Bob, like, cut bait or fish, buddy. Like, you got to either, like, give me a yes, a no, or here's what we're waiting for, like a something. And I said, you know, if you don't give me an answer, I'm just going to break up with your daughter because this isn't fair to her, right?
So we were ready to, like, separate.
Yeah.
We're like, if obviously my dad knows better than I do.
Right.
He's a Christian guy and he loves Jesus and he loves me. So, okay, if you say no, this isn't going to happen.
So I think the expression of that willingness to submit to his decision, I think, was what it sent him over, and it was like, all right, this is someone that we can get along with here. You know, he's teachable, he's willing to listen and whatever. And then he was on board. But I'll tell you what, he ruined so many potential engagement plans. A list of what I had to do, and I had to like keep like altering it to fit like the change of seasons even. Like, oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did. Dad said yes, and then Tyler did an amazing proposal, and my nails were done. So for all the first pictures.
Okay.
Oh, that's important. Everyone takes their pictures right away, and their nails look horrible. But nope, my nails were done. He sent me to a salon that day, and so it was a full massage day with full spa, and then the nails, and then a restaurant, and then we got engaged up at the art museum in the back, where the gazebo is. So there was masonry and water.
And dancing.
So he brought his computer. Made a song.
She ugly cried. Oh my goodness. Like beet red, tear stained, like.
Yeah.
We weren't taking pictures. Like, we had to, like, all right, let's like give it an hour. Call your friend.
Give it an hour.
Yeah, we gotta like dry up and reapply and.
Pocket.
Because you want to save those moments and like look back at them, not like, why y'all let me take these pictures looking like this?
Right, exactly. No, it's all about the pictures, right? So, yeah.
Good idea.
So, all right. So, you guys were virgins, before you guys got married. I just want to know, what was life like in your singleness, far as being a virgin? Were you vocal about it? And like, what kind of flack, like what kind of kickback did you guys get for that? Like, all right, you know, like, we're like, I as an individual, I'm going to wait until I'm married.
Yeah. So me being older, me being 31 when we got married, like I was, very vocal about it. And I guess being so picky too. Again, it was hard for Tyler to pursue me because I was like, here is my list of things that I need. And then he kind of broke down that and was like, well, do you really need someone that has a job and has a car and doesn't live in their parents' basement? I'm sorry that I live in my parents' basement. I'm 18 and still in high school. And so that's when I had to realize, like, no, I just need someone to work hard. And so I guess the relationships, like, leading up to Tyler, I was single a lot in my 20s, but the couple relationships that I had, I just kind of very vocal, like, no, we're waiting till marriage because I don't know if I'm actually going to marry you or not. And then kind of once I started dating Tyler, I kind of knew, like, hey, no, we're definitely going to get married kind of in the beginning. Like, I'm only going to date you unless it leads to marriage. And I think at that point, it's like, well, I waited this long. Of course we're waiting to marriage.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
30 years. If you can't settle down for a couple more.
Why not?
Yeah. So my experience was a little bit different. So I dated 2 girls prior to Kim. One was in middle school and lasted about a year. So, like, that's the most successful middle school relationship I think ever. And
yo,
yeah, I tell my youth group students that a middle school relationship is like a leprechaun. It's short and fake. Then in high school, I dated a girl, and it was such a terrible experience. Like, she was an amazing girl who ended up cheating on me with a friend, and then her solution to make up for cheating on me was to try to have sex with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know, right? So,
yeah, that's crazy.
So, like, I was like, so, like, it was, you know, I'm torn, right? Because I'm a high school guy, which means, like, testosterone has made my brain not work anymore. And I'm like, yeah, like, all about it. But also, like, you cheated on me, so no. So, like, it was, like, just a very, like, conflicting time. So I was like, you know what? Like, whatever's going on with you is driving me insane. So I just need to not be around you ever. So part of the reason that I didn't date throughout high school after that was because it was such an emotional drain to be in that relationship and deal with those pressures and things like that. It just wasn't worth it unless I knew that marriage was a likely outcome. So then I wasn't dating anyone, so no one thought I was sleeping with anyone. So it was generally assumed until I went to college. Then when I went to college, I went to a trade school. And I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit. And this is going to be a surprise to most of y'all. But tradesmen aren't the most couth people in the world. You know, it's not like the creme de la creme go to be bricklayers. So all my friends, you know, my peers, you know, they're generally good guys, but what do they care, right? Like, you know, you work for the weekend, you drink on Friday, Saturday, sober up Sunday, and then go back to work. Maybe. Sometimes you just like linger into Monday. And along with that comes like unhealthy relationships with their girlfriends and stuff like that. And, you know, they're vulgar and talking about women. And I'm like, hey guys, like, I don't roll like that. You know, like, I'm not here to judge. Like, none of you are Christians, so why should I care? But, like, I'm not that way with my girlfriend, and I'm not going to join in those conversations. And to most of them, it was like this huge shock. Like, wait, you've never had sex with a girl? I'm like, no, I haven't. Like, well, what about a blowjob? I'm like, no. Like, hand job. I'm like,
right.
no. Like, just not doing it. And they're like, all right. And like, they would just like keep going down to like, what tier can we get to with this guy? And they were just like so, I guess, like confounded by it. A bunch of them actually thought I was gay. All right. So this is 2009. So homosexuality hadn't been, gay marriage hadn't been legalized. And the assumption was, if you're not sleeping with a girl, the only excuse must be that you're gay. And I was like, no, I'm not gay. I have an amazing girlfriend. She's 28. And they're like, no, she's not. Like, you're not dating a 28-year-old. And I was like, no, I am. Like, I promise you. Like, I would sneak around to campus and be like, just make a physical appearance so they can see you exist, and then you can leave again because they're horrible guys and will objectify you. So like, I just need proof I'm not gay here, right? Right. So I think that was more the reaction. Like, the assumption was just that I was gay, so I didn't have to have there wasn't these outside pressure to like get laid. I never got invited to like a strip club or anything because they're like, why would he come with us? He's gay.
Oh, wow.
I mean, even it was funny when I got engaged. I invited some people, and one of the person goes, "Just so you know, I'm still not convinced you're not gay." And I was like, "But, like, I don't know. Like when we had our son, I was like, 'Hey everyone, look what I made.'"
Right.
I mean, because like there's still like that question mark. My mom, this is actually really funny. My mom, when we were engaged, came to me and said, "Tyler, I want you to know, if you're gay, it's okay." And I was like, "Mom, like I'm engaged." She's like, "Okay, I just don't want you to get married, you know, and like just have to be a cover up." I'm like,
that's
first of
crazy.
all, like I would have said to Kim, but like, why do you think I'm gay? She's like, "Well, you're not dating anyone." I'm like, "Come on, Mom, like we're just trying to do the right thing here."
Mom.
Yo,
So, I know,
she was
right?
still
Like,
going to accept him though. She was still going to love Tyler, even though.
right. Well, I mean, you know, after she got divorced, she was a lot more open and, you know, readily available for emotional support.
Oh,
She was discovered.
That's crazy. So like, all right, because people, all right, so I gotta ask these questions before like we move on to the other questions.
Sure.
People will always assume my reason for waiting was because my parents were virgins, and because my dad was a pastor.
Sure.
But like I was telling Kim on the phone, I was like, look, like my dad was a pastor. I grew up in church and stuff like that. My parents, they waited, but they never taught me how to wait. I never had the sex talk. I never had to talk about girls. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have that talk. So what made me bring that up? Your mom asking you that, were your parents saved?
Yeah. My parents were missionaries.
Oh wow.
Pastor and Bible teacher, and yeah, I know, right? So we're not perfect.
I mean, you still her child though. At the end of the day, people make that mistake on disowning their kids if they fall astray, no matter what it is. And it's a lot of people feel like it's contradicting. It's like, but you're Christian parents, you're gonna accept your gay daughter, your gay son? Like, yeah, God accepted all of us raggedy people. So what's the I mean, we gotta work it through somewhere. And newsflash, gay people have sex. So I don't understand where that comes from. It's like, then if you was gay, then you was doing a dude. So you was still getting booty. It just was another man. But like, thank God that wasn't the case. But I'm just like, how do y'all categorize when somebody is not dealing with the opposite sex, like you're totally gay?
Right.
Well, then that means I can still potentially be getting busy. What are you talking about? I'm just on the other side.
Yeah.
You be like, I'm gay. I'm getting more booty than you though.
Like,
yo, like
you know, in defense of my mother, like, you know, remember 2009 was just culturally drastically different. You know, it wasn't a time like I have a friend who he came out in 2012, and even then it was still very taboo. So, you know, I think that's why like my mom was the way she was and assumed the things that she assumed. Is because it wasn't celebrated the way it's celebrated now. So yeah.
That's good that she came in love though. It's a comfort somewhere in there. Like rather than like if you what I think you is, you getting out. Like what? Like so. But that's funny. Well, I mean, but I'm glad you didn't have to go to the extreme of like having sex to be like, I'm not gay, guys. I just boned her, okay? I'm not gay. Like, you know what?
Find me a woman. Bring her here.
Right.
Yo, he's funny. Right.
Want to go to the next question?
Yeah. Let me see what we got for y'all next. This has been awesome. Like, you guys are killing it.
I'm trying.
This right. Okay, so going back, I do want to know this because I'm a girl. We always want to know, when did you know? Like, how did you like immediately know? Like, I'm totally marrying this lady. I don't care if she's 100 years older than me. She's mine. No, it's like, you're not 100 years old, but you know, like, how did Tyler, you were so confident on like, oh, I'm bagging that. Like, I'm going to put a ring on that, like, regardless. So y'all can laugh at me if you want to, but we'll be later on the Clueless honeymoon conference with Brandy Jeremiah married. So, boom.
So like I said, I was pretty well damaged from my previous relationship when I was in high school. So I was like determined not to waste my time looking around, and kind of like the commitment that I'd made to God was that if I don't find the person that I'm marrying by 21, I'm going to commit to celibacy because I don't have the time to waste pursuing a woman when there's things to do.
That's good.
So that was my mentality. So then I went through and I said, all right, like if I had to find a perfect woman, what would that look like? So I went to the Bible because I realized that I'm an idiot. And like, I need that, like, give me the good stuff here. And, you know, I'm in high school, so I immediately go to, you know, Proverbs 31, because that's what happens on Mother's Day, right? You read that thing and preach it. And I looked at, like, kind of what it was saying, and I made a list of, like, all right, what are the general ideas of an ideal woman according to Proverbs 31? And, you know, I was looking for the things that it lists, right? Like, it's an industrious woman, it's a hardworking woman, it's someone who looks to the future, her confidence in God is so great that she laughs, right? Like, that kind of stuff. You know, someone whose husband's name is praised at the gates because of her, right? That's significant, right? When your spouse speaks so well of you that other people celebrate you, right? I think that's huge. So I was looking for that in someone to date, and like, turns out that no one in high school has enough life experience to really be able to critically evaluate whether or not they meet that standard. So like, I had a list of girls in my high school and I was like, these are potential candidates for future consideration. And then, you know, as I was like, you know, sexually frustrated teenager talking to God about it, you know, like Kim had, you know, popped in my mind, like, well, what about Kim? And I was like, well, funny you should mention that. I didn't put age on my like list here of things. And I was like, well, let me like actually think through a little bit like some of the implications of dating someone 10 years older even, right? So like you have just the issue of kids, right? You know, once you hit 30, it's suddenly a high-risk pregnancy and things just start to change with how all that's handled and played out. Then also, where's she at with her life stage and would I potentially hold her back, things like that. But as far as like, does she meet the criteria? She did. So then I thought about practically would it work, and I came to the conclusion that yes, it would. And then I did what every romantic would do, and I got her to take a Myers-Briggs personality test to make sure that we had compatible personality types from a purely psychological.
Okay.
Really?
I did. I was like, oh, look at that. Like, our personality types actually line up. We can just shred those and pretend I didn't do that and move on with our life. So I did that. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I've hung out with her for years. She was my youth pastor's girlfriend, so we spent a lot of time there. She was my boss for about 3 years. So a lot of time there. Then we took swing dance lessons together, so a lot of time there. And I was like, this is a lot of time I've spent with an individual that I'm not sick of hanging out with yet. Like,
that's good. I hope y'all listening.
About a month of like consistent hanging out, you're kind of like, all right, like you go home, I'm gonna go home. So that's when I was like, all right, like this person meets the criteria that I feel biblically makes a good wife. And we have similar directions to life that we're heading. We have similar values. And one of the criteria that I didn't get directly from Proverbs 31, but I think kind of alludes to is I need a girl or a woman who fears God and is teachable. I was like, I can't spend my life having to fight with someone about the Bible all the freaking time. I need someone who, if they disagree with me, is willing to wrestle with the Bible and with the text and is willing to submit to God's word. So when, so she got laid off in 2009 because of the market crash. And when she did that, I gave her Oswald Chambers' devotional. I forget, My Utmost for His Highest. And that was kind of like the litmus, like, you know, read your like 2-page devotional thing. Let's have a conversation about it. And I was trying to gauge like, what is her level of love for God, for the word, and those things. So, you know, I'm a big reader. I love theology and stuff like that. Kim is not a big reader, but if you you'll have a hard time finding a woman who lives out the gospel better. So like that worked well as my foil, because I'm like, theology and doctrine and like, let's talk about languages. And she's like, I'm going to go love that person real quick.
Let me go pick up the trash.
Yeah, let me go like give our neighbor some food. I'm like, oh man, you're so good. Oh, fine. Like, we'll go be friendly.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of what it was. Like, it was just a series of like, let me watch and observe, and as I'm watching, observing, be praying about and looking for this wife as honestly as possible. And that's why, you know, when I talked to her dad and said, if you see a problem with this, like, let us know. We talked to, you know, some of our friends in church, let us know. We talked to our pastor. You see something, let us know. And then even when we were doing premarital counseling, that was another thing. We're doing the counseling, like, hey, like, we're going to go through these workbooks with you and meet with you and all that stuff. If there's something that's a problem, let us know. Like, you guys have that authority in our lives. That's why we're doing this now before we go and screw everything up. So I guess that's how we knew that they were the one, I guess.
And then just look it up. He's beautiful. I mean, so how did I know he was the one? Like, oh, wait, you want to marry me? You're very handsome. So I was looking.
I see those parts. I know what's up.
Right, that was it. That's all we need. We don't need much. We don't need much. No, but you know what? That's so dope, because just and some of the viewers already picked up, because first off, 40 and there, I don't see 10 years at all, not even physically. Nope. But then spiritually, the compatibility spiritually just wipes all of that off. Like the maturity spiritually, like Tyler had enough sense to be like, I don't know doo-doo about what I'm supposed to be looking for in a woman. Let me go to the good book. When you got a whole bunch of guys who either listen to advice or, you know, seek elsewhere, this guy was like, well, let me see why Proverbs is always coming up on Mother's Day, Women's Day, Women's Luncheon. Like, what is this Proverbs woman? And he was like, I need somebody to reflect the word. That's like, boom. That was bars, Tyler.
Yeah.
But too late, ladies, because he already married. So go find somebody else that's going to look up Proverbs, because Tyler's already taken. So, but that's amazing. That I'm excited to hear about you guys. Well, I feel like we haven't even got there yet, but we got there with y'all already.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I do have a question. It's not even like on our list, but I figured it would come up because of things being relative. So wedding day and all that. So mentally, like, so Clueless Honeymoon pretty much came from like a whole bunch of hashtags that we tried to come up for our wedding, right? I came up with Clueless Honeymoon as an entire joke, like a joke. I was not about to, I'm trying to find something cute and romantic, but at the end of the day, it was just like, all right, like, let's play off of everybody's opinions and everybody's assumptions on what our honeymoon is supposed to look like. You know, we clearly never had sex with each other, so what is it gonna look like on a honeymoon? Like, kind of clueless, like, you know. But to turn it back around, the funny thing is that everything that anyone had as an advice, as an assumption or whatever for me, and their thoughts on our honeymoon, they were the clueless ones. Like, and that is like the truth, 100%. They was the most clueless ones about the honeymoon. So how did you guys feel, or did you guys get, you know, the tips, the thoughts, the, you know, prior to, you know, because everybody's always like, what y'all looking forward to? What y'all looking forward to? What y'all looking forward to? And it's like, you know, was it the honeymoon? Was it just the day of just being husband and wife? Like, what was it for you guys?
So it was funny because I don't think people, I mean, because I was so old, like, I don't think they really knew. And so, I mean, obviously you have all like the sex ed in school and you know, so it was like a week before, and I called like one of my good friends who she's 10 years older than me, and she'd been married for like 25 years. And I was like, no, I need to know like, exactly what's gonna happen. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I need advice. Like, we actually have not had sex. Like, I need you to tell me, like what should I expect? And she was like, oh, it's messy.
Oh.
I like, it's really messy. And so then she put together a pack. So she gave me lube.
We have
She's
good
like,
friends.
Oh,
lube because no, you don't know that. And I was like, oh, because I'm assuming you have sex, you get pregnant instantly, because that's kind of what you believe, like sex.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't want to get pregnant, like at that point at all.
right.
A couple years later, before we had our little man, so it's like pregnancy is not in the honeymoon phase. Like, let's do that later. So like,
Right.
are we doing condoms? Am I doing birth control? Like, is
Right.
it like your spermicide stuff? Like, what is it? So she schooled me on all of that. So she was amazing. And she gave me a whole little box filled with stuff. So it's like, shout out to Rebecca. Thank you. And so
That survival kit.
Honeymoon, it was really funny because we were very excited. I was like, we didn't have them for real, but we always joked about, like, we'll hand in our V cards at our ceremony.
Yeah.
Cards, we'll hand them in. And so then when it gets to our actual honeymoon night, like, we've already had the whole day, and I'm just feeling really pretty in my dress. I was like, well, I don't want to get out of my dress.
Oh, hold on a sec.
I did.
We're at our wedding.
Really pretty.
We're at the reception. It is 10 o'clock. Everyone has left. And she's walking around, cleaning up tables, and she wanted to make sure she got, like, all the little toiletries that we put in the bathroom. And I'm like, girl, let's go! Like, you said 3 things. We're here. It's the night. Like, they're supposed to send us off an hour ago. I got things to do.
So, planner. So I had to make sure that everything of the actual event day had been finished.
Okay.
So then
So-
the night for you.
So we get to the hotel room, and you can imagine my excitement.
Right.
I'm like in there. You have never seen a tux disrobed so quickly. Not Kim. Kim is prancing around the dress. She had these sparkly glitter high heel shoes, like 5-inch high heels, and she's walking around. She's like, "Look how pretty I am. Look how pretty." I'm like, "Oh, you look great."
Get over here. This is
Do
a
this
king
thing.
size bed.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Look at all." Eventually, what ended up happening essentially was I was like, "You know what? You just enjoy being pretty. I'm gonna go to bed." She's like, "No, wait for me. Like, I'm coming." So here's what basically ended up happening. So one of the bits of advice that Kim was given was that girls should probably stretch prior to their honeymoon, right? Like, make sure everything fits okay. It did not fit okay. So we did not successfully consummate our marriage that night. Following day, we were just so tired, we ended up just sleeping basically the whole day. And then we got up, we went on the boat,
So we
we went on
on
a cruise, and
for our honeymoon. So we went.
I got the GI bug and was sick as a dog with projectile vomiting and the runs for the entire honeymoon.
Oh.
Yeah. What?
I know. This was God. He was like, if you want to get out of this, Tyler, I'm giving you another week. All right? I get back. I go to play tennis with one of my friends because he wanted to, like, hang out and catch up and, like, talk about the honeymoon, you know? And I'm like, bro, I was sick the whole time. While playing tennis, he hit the ball into some bushes, and we both got the worst poison ivy either of us have ever gotten. We had to get steroids to, like, calm down the inflammation. And Kim, like, super allergic, so she made me wear footy pajamas and created a pillow barricade between us for about a month.
Aw.
I don't want to get poison ivy.
Right.
The honeymoon was rough. Okay? It was a rough honeymoon.
Dang.
Eventually.
I had a great time, met other families, totally entertained myself, hung out at the food bar. I think I passed the chocolate bar like 7 times.
Oh my
The good
God.
news is that I am an avid reader. So during that month, I just stockpiled on books about sex, essentially. Like, very practical, like how-to guides and, like, you know, the mystery of female orgasm and, like, books like that. And I'm like,
Right.
Right with the massage book.
yeah, I'm like, you wait 1 month. It's going to be awesome.
Right.
It was awesome.
So there was
Or still is.
yeah, it was like, there was a lot of,
Amen.
so does this feel good? well, that doesn't seem right, you know? Like,
No,
Yeah, bro.
Listen.
and I think like that's the fun of like being virgins together is there's just that opportunity for like exploration, conversation, discovery, things like that.
Yeah.
That's good, bro.
So, but it took like a long time getting there.
We like to laugh. We're like, Tyler, you're the best I ever had. And then
Yeah.
he's like, you're the worst I ever had.
Oh, right.
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 Double-edged sword there.
Oh, I always say we have a lifetime to figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with discovering with this man for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Like, period.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when you get that when you basically like what you said, Tyler, like you are not sick of her at all.
Right.
I'm like, yo, this is the best slumber party every night. Like, I get to sleep over with my best friend every day and wake up to this man every day.
Uh-huh.
Like, there is no rolling over. Like, it's like, yes, he's here still, never going anywhere. Like, it's like the best.
No, it is. 9 years later, and I'm still like, sleep over.
Let's
Right.
go.
Here's
Yes.
what I was gonna say, for the viewers, I don't know like where everyone is with their own journey, whether they're married or just virgins hanging out waiting. Like I think one of the fears, when I talk with my friends that aren't Christian, are sleeping around and like having those conversations, is there's that like, do you get bored of one woman? And I will tell you that when it comes to like sexual arousal, I feel like at the very least with Kim, she's constantly changing and I have to keep figuring it out, right? So like every time we're dating, I'm like, no, last time I swear, like I pushed on your back here, like I grabbed you like there, like we're good to go. Like I'm doing the things, like I'm trying. And she's like, yeah, I'm not doing it tonight. She's like, there's like a weird smell in the room. And I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. Like,
Oh, wow.
Like, first of all, that's your weird smell. Secondly, like,
Yeah,
got your flowers, I gave you chocolate, like I changed the oil in your car today, like love language, Kim. Like, fine, I'll go to bed.
That's how you got to keep it spicy. It can't be the same thing every time.
Right.
You got to switch it up some.
Yeah.
He's like, no. Chapter 2 said, this is what chapter 2 said. You're supposed to like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like,
The movie's still
a lot.
The conversation that we have.
Yeah, I think it's just like, the study of human behavior, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're always changing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, it was like, yo, when I grow up, I'm going to get McDonald's every day.
Right.
And it's like, dang, like, do I want McDonald's every day? Like,
Watch Super Size Me and you're like, nah, he did it.
Yeah. But you're 8
Right.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I got a job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well, what we got? What we looking at? Cool. All right. Did we really? All right. The question number. I want to do X. Did we kind of already ask number 4?
I feel like they just totally covered a whole lot of questions.
No, wait.
Like,
all right. Let me ask number 7.
All right. Ask number 7.
Did you guys lose friends choosing God's way?
Well, my girlfriend for sure. So we kind of had like our lives were pretty well, I mean, I don't want to speak for Kim, but at least mine was a pretty well defined dichotomy of like conservative evangelical Christians and then secular people. And there was kind of this weird like my friends that weren't Christians understood that I was a Christian and that my standards and how I live my life is different. My friends that were Christians had that expectation that of course I was going to live this way. Now, probably the area where there was the greatest risk of losing friends was calling out other brothers for their behavior, I guess. Right? Like I remember we had this group of guys who like we were holding each other accountable for porn addiction, right? And like talking about that. And like that was an area where like you knew that someone was doing what they weren't supposed to be doing if they just stopped talking to you and distanced themselves. So there wasn't like an overt, like, oh, I'm just not down with that, I'm going to leave you. It was always more of like a subtle slinking away into the distance.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you had to be like, if the guys you're talking to, you're good. It's the person who's not talking, they have to be like, oh, there's the guy we got to like talk to and reach out to. And sometimes, like those confrontations could get somewhat hostile. How to describe them. They never ended badly. Like, I was still in a relationship with those guys. You can still call them and talk to them, but there was definitely like periods of time where they were uncomfortable and I guess angry, frustrated, and dealing with their own shame, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much it for
I don't think I lost any like particular friends just for like being a virgin. I do think kind of the older you get, you kind of just lose friends because of like your lifestyle, not your lifestyle, but like where your friends are in life. So your 20s are your friends are getting married, and then they're hanging out with their husbands, which is great. But then they're having babies, and just you being single or you just dating someone, you just don't fit into their life. And once they had 2, 3, 4 kids, I didn't want to fit into their life. Like, oh, there's too many minis over there.
Yeah, that's noise.
Oh, there's a lot of happening.
Now, actually,
now I have my own. I'm like, yes, we're coming with my own.
I think Kim's celibacy was actually a bonus because Kim's a very prudish person. So she also doesn't drink. You know, she has alcohol in her family, and she's like, that's just not something I'm going to engage with. Right? That's fine. But because of that, she was always a designated driver. And if you know Kim, you know that she is a sober party animal. Right? If you're at a bar and someone's table dancing, it's probably Kim, right? She's the first one on the dance floor doing the thing. So they're always like, let's bring Kim. We'll get into whatever trouble we're going to get into, and she's going to have a great time and can drive us all home at night. So worked out well, I think, for that group of friends.
Yeah, there was a lot of 20-year-old bachelorette parties that I had to drive home for.
Oh, wow. Sure. Yeah.
He's like holding the hair, you know?
Yeah. I low-key had an experience because I don't know if my bro Arthur Burgess is on here, but he was saying, me and him was talking, he said, yo, bro, like, you really changed the game for a bachelor party, because me and my guys, we went to Six Flags. Now I'm like, I'm pretty sure guys had did that, because, you know, I'm not into that. Like, I believe in spiritual curses. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like if your daughter or son wants to be a stripper, you got to understand that you have entertained it a point in your life and probably still entertain it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, no, I'm cool. Like, no, I'm good. Like, that shouldn't. I feel like that we live in a society where people live under a rock and they do not know that Jesus can be included in everything. And that you as a Christian, you don't have to drink. You don't have to smoke. You don't have to do what the world is doing. You don't have to compromise to have a good time. So you know, my homies, I said, yo, I'm going to Six Flags for the bachelor party. What's up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My guys, they was with me. The people, they asked me, they was like, it's crazy because people, they think since you're a virgin, they think, and I don't knock them because it's probably a normal thought. Like, well, okay, my friends never made fun of me for being a virgin. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like a joke to them. My boys, like, they were all in my wedding, and like, they weren't virgins. You know what I'm saying? So people, they assumed, like, somebody asked me, say, well, were your guys virgins? I said, none of my guys were virgins. None of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, some of them not even like really saved. For if that is understandable, like, we still working on them. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't really like, okay, give God like that full yes. You know what I'm saying? But they were, you know, they are my friends. You know, like, it was crazy because, and I had to tell somebody about my friends. I said, yo, my guys in high school, the guys that were in my wedding, they were the first guys to like, yo, be like, yo, bro, I love you. And I'm in my head, I'm like, what the heck, yo, that's gay. Like, like, yo, what you talk about? Like, you love me. But I understood that. I was like, yo, like, no, they were like, yo, bro, I really love you. Like, I would never forget that. And like, they official. like, you know what I'm saying? Like some real official friends. They've been at every Seskin Witty Wild event about, they always supporting everything that I got, keeping Jesus in the equation. And they be like, yo, they be like, bro, like your events don't be corny. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's about just being organic and like, yo, all right, cool. Like, I'm okay with having friends because you gotta have somebody to influence. You like, you know, one of my homies called me and was like, bro, I just finished your book. And we had this conversation. Like, I wouldn't imagine him calling me saying that.
Wow.
Like, it was, you know what I'm saying? It was like the impact of, you know, I'm happy because you guys lived your life and you ain't let nobody compromise, no friend compromise the decision that God wanted you to live. And you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like we out here doing God's work. I really appreciate that, man. That's crazy. We gotta what? It's almost 10 o'clock. We got 8 minutes.
We have one more question.
We got one more question?
Let's do
Let's get it.
One
Yeah.
more question. But I feel like you guys answered this one, but I wanted to ask anyway. Are you still on the honeymoon?
I would say yes.
I have the run so bad. That's a really good question. I don't think so, because I think the honeymoon for me felt so surreal and it just didn't feel quite real. Everything was like ethereal, and that's not true. I don't think our honeymoon was deep enough to be where we're at now. When we're on our honeymoon, we don't have to wrestle with life together. We don't have to deal with conflict. We don't have to deal with, bills, our child, screaming and doing his things. We don't have to deal with each other's work problems. We don't get to, enter into our friends' lives and celebrate with them. When you're on your honeymoon, I think you're so caught up in yourselves. And just like, we're just going to enjoy each other. This is going to be great. And the whole world kind of disappears. And I think that that's fine, right? That's what the honeymoon's for. But I think if you're perpetually stuck in that honeymoon phase, you get so caught up in each other that you aren't able to engage properly with the world. I don't, I believe that while a lot of the pain and suffering that happens as a result of the fall, I don't think all pain is. And I think that entering into other people's pain is a good part of being a Christian, and it builds community and it strengthens you. So that's why I don't think that it would be appropriate for us to say we're part of the honeymoon phase. Now, I think the heart of the question is, are we still madly in love with each other? And I think the answer to that is yes. Do we still enjoy getting out together, doing life together? And that answer is yes, right? There's still that, there's still that perpetual discovery and that growing and that enjoying each other that happens. So that part I would say yes to.
And it's funny, like 9 years, how is that possible?
I could tell you how it was possible.
You still don't annoy me. I still like you.
Yeah, because I've known couples who celebrated their 50th, like the double digits. Yeah. And like what Tyler explained, emotionally, they are still on their honeymoon. They because people sometimes just start existing. It's like, all right, we paying bills together. I guess this is working. But like, do y'all like each other? Like, do you still, a lot of people just be like, frick, dinner's on the table. And then they, go off watching Jeopardy and everyone kind of coexists as roommates after a while. But it's like, do you still even stay in the same room? Like, it gets to that point. Like, I've known older couples still married, they don't even sleep in the same room no more. It's just like, hey, we just, because it's just been like this for 100 years, this is how we just gonna die. But to still like each other and to still enjoy each other, that's the goal.
In defense of the people that don't sleep in the same room, as your body ages, it changes. It starts to make more noises. There's new smells, and sometimes another room is a fair compromise to allow the marriage to continue in peace.
And to breathe.
You'll learn. Enjoy the rest of your pregnancy because it's coming.
Right. Right.
Wait, so y'all saying y'all got extra room for me?
We'll take care of you.
Yo, so we definitely need to do a part 2.
Yes, this was fun.
When I do another men's event, bro,
Okay.
I definitely need you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
we gonna definitely hit some heavy stuff. This has been amazing. This was crazy. I'm seeing anybody got any questions in the comments? Any questions in the comments? They going off in the comments.
Yeah.
They be going in the comments the whole time.
Yeah, they have been.
Yeah.
They rooting for
Oh,
part
somebody
2.
said part 2.
Part two,
They
part 2.
definitely want a part 2.
This is only night 1. Like,
Yeah, this is night 1. This is
like,
night 1, y'all.
You have to vote
So.
for your favorite couple. You can take a recount.
right. I was
Who's the
just about to
favorite
say,
couple?
like, now, if there's some couples already viewing, y'all gonna have to step it up because coming
Start
behind
flashing
these
your
two.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you guys so much just for putting this on. We're a big fan of telling our story, but it's definitely like great when we can tell it on social media. Again,
Yeah.
everyone just needs to talk to everyone. We're not doing this life alone, and we definitely need to be doing it with other people. And
Yeah.
well, who love Jesus.
And I think that, one of the things we talked about in the beginning, and I would love to end with this. Well, I mean, I don't have to end with this. You can do whatever you want. It's your show. We talked about the importance of authenticity. I told you that I read your book, and your book is very raw. It's not this filtered, pseudo-Christian soft lob dating how to be celibate nonsense, right? This was my struggle in my life. And when I talk with parents and like, why are my kids not in the church? The main reason I give them is because the Christian lives that they've witnessed are inauthentic, and what they're told doesn't resonate with what they experience and what they see. And I think that conversations like this and the conversations in your book,
That's good.
Agree or disagree, they're genuine. And I think that's important. Is like the more times that we could have a genuine conversation about what it's like to live the Christian life, the highs and the lows, the more authentic Christianity becomes to our peers, and that reinforces the faith and salvation that they have. So it's huge. It's incredibly important, and especially with how much God cares about marriage, how much he cares about the family, how much he hates divorce. Like, it's incredibly important that we get it right. A lot of guys go into marriage and like, now that I'm married, I'm going to be a good dad. And that doesn't start when you're married. It starts before you're married. So if you're sleeping around before you're married, why would you expect it to change? So it's huge that you guys are doing this and that you're helping people early on to be supported in something that is countercultural. So we really appreciate you guys and what you're doing.
Yeah. Let me we have one question. I just want to answer this comment because I don't want to forget it. A Clueless honeymoon panel discussion would be dope with some singles who living for God. That kind of doesn't make kind of sense what we're doing right here. But if you go to Sescon Wait a While on YouTube, it's plenty of conversations. Us just dealing with singles. Plenty of conversations. So this is like the first time of us actually dealing with married couples, like literally like the first time. But if you go to Sescon Wait a While on YouTube, you'll be able to see everything what's dealing with singles. So question, how do you guys view ministry together? That question was asked by Arthur Burgess.
How do we view ministry together? I don't entirely understand. So, like, is it how do we do ministry, or how do we view our lives as ministry? Are you able to elaborate quickly?
Hey, bro, can you elaborate on that?
If not, I'll give you a quick answer.
But I do think he meant like view, like how do you guys see ministry?
Yeah. So I guess like the broad category that our ministry mentality falls under is called incarnational ministry. So it's pulled from the idea of Jesus being God incarnate, where he comes down to earth and lives. So we believe that everything that you do in your life is an opportunity for ministry. Everything you do has a value, positive or negative. You're either doing the will of God or you're not. So James says, if you know the good you ought to do and fail to do it, that is sin. Right? So I think in Christianity, we spend a lot of time saying this is sin, this is not sin. And James says, screw that. If you know the good you ought to do and don't do it. So we're constantly looking for opportunities for what is good to do. And then Paul says, anything not done in faith is sin. So if there's something in our hearts where we're like, I'm not sure what this, like, should I do this or not? I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. If you know the big ought to do it. If there's doubt and there's problems, don't do it. And then, you know, we have a strong belief that everything that we've been given by God. So that means, like, our house isn't ours. It's an asset that God's given us. The things that we have are assets. You know, they belong to God. Our son's name's Abijah, which means Yahweh's my father. So there's a passage in Matthew where it says, call no one on earth your father, for you have one father who's in heaven. So even our child is not ours, right? He's God's child that we're responsible for and obligated to do the best we can with him. But ultimately, we give him back to God to serve God, you know, however that would be. So when it comes to, like, the practical things like our life, you know, if Kim's like, hey, I want to go do X, Y, and Z, you know, the question is, all right, like, usually it's just, that's fine, go do whatever you want. But Kim's thought is, here's an opportunity for us to serve someone. And same thing with me is like, hey, like, at any moment, here's a good example. This past week, a good friend of ours' wife had left him. So he calls and says, hey, Tyler, can I come over? And I was like, sure. And he you know, quickly told me what was happening. And I was like, all right, well, bring your stuff and you can stay with us until you need to leave. And then, you know, as soon as we get off the phone, I call Kim and I'm like, hey, Kim, our friend is going to come stay with us for a while. And she's like, okay. I didn't have to have that conversation because we already have so ingrained in our lifestyle that what we do and everything that we have exists to serve the kingdom.
That's good, bro.
So that's how we do ministry together, I guess. There's a verse that talks about always seek to outserve each other, or, like, do more good than your fellow Christians or something like that. I forget what exactly it is, but we kind of have, like, in our marriage, this competition of who can do the most good with the least amount of resources. So that's kind of our mentality, is like, you know, how can we help each other be better Christians, and how can we help our friends, our peers, and our neighbors, you know, see Christ through our actions.
So we are involved in different ministries at our church and stuff like that, but we do view our entire lives as ministry. So, I mean, that's driving down the street and seeing someone carrying groceries home to pull over and pick them up and drive them home.
We built a garden in our front lawn, and someone asked me, like, if you build a garden in your front lawn, won't people steal the vegetables? And I'm like, that's literally the point. We live in a food desert. If people need,
you hear that, Summer?
Wow.
So, you know, it's very much a, like, you know, we have a limited time on earth. We have a limited amount of resources. How can we best maximize that to God's glory? Because eventually we're going to die and we can't take it with us. So.
Wow. So that's Kim, that's basically showing the sense of security you have in your husband spiritually. Because, you know, most wives really have a hard time, like, letting their husbands, you know, guide in decisions like that. And I know for me, that's one of the things that I'm so, like, grateful to be in a position to trust Jeremiah's judgment, or things that, you know, he says God has said to him, like, because I know he had his own relationship. I know the authenticity of his heart for God. So if he's coming to me like, B, you know, God was telling me that yada, yada, yada. And even though it sounds weird, it's like, all right, so when we leaving the, you know, Jupiter, like, when God say we get on this rocket ship, because I trust in his heart and I trust in the relationship. And I think that's a really big thing. Like, that's a huge, like, security spot to be in. Like, oh, thank God. Like, at least he listening to God. At least he, you know, at least it's about, you know, the only one voice he need to really be, you know, connected to. So that's dope.
Like, the term submission is actually harder. I feel like women are so worried about submitting to their husbands. However, submitting to your husband is a harder thing to do than to not submit. But marry a godly man that's listening to God all the time, and it's so easy. It's like, you're the head of our house. You're the one that's to be judged on this.
So,
that's shady.
So I think that, you know, Kim touched on an important thing. You know, so as I said in the beginning, I looked for a woman who was teachable and loves God. And Kim really is a saint, and she is those things, and that's why when I'm like, hey, this is what we have to do. So, like, even our son, you know, Kim was adamantly opposed to having children. And, you know, I spent a lot of time, you know, studying the word about primarily family and what's the purpose of family and what's the purpose of sex biblically. That was like for all my degrees, that was like, if there's an opportunity where I get to choose a topic, that's what I'm putting it on. And eventually I came home one night and was like, Kim, we have to have a kid. I was like, you can't properly have a biblical marriage without you can't intentionally frustrate having children for the entirety of your marriage and say that it's a God-honoring marriage. Like, children are a huge part of what marriage is supposed to be. And God bless her. She's like, I'm not happy about that, but we'll have a child. And I was like, oh.
But we'll start trying. So we were doing natural family planning at that point. So it was like, okay, we'll actually like start trying.
That's a significantly longer conversation. Yeah. But yeah.
God
so
blessed us.
It's, I mean, if you love God and are humble and willing to just listen to what he tells you to do, it turns out that he's pretty smart and life works out well. It might not be like this ideal, you know, American dream type life, but he has an amazing way of sustaining his people. So I think that's that's our focus. You know, neither of us are super consumer driven. But God had, like, there's just times where we're like, how do we even pay our bills this month? Because like things have happened where we're giving money where we normally wouldn't. And God's been faithful. He's either provided me, you know, I'm a mason with side work where I go build a pizza oven and get paid more money than I should have for less work than is really reasonable. And that's what makes the difference that week. Or I'll get a, you know, an unexpected gig, you know, preaching at a church someday. That'll pay the bills. So like, you know, Kim really is great at like trusting God well. And I think that that's, you know, a big part of it. And, you know, the Bible talks about the husband's duty to be perpetually washing his bride with the word. And I think that's also a big part of it. It's just like ongoing, lots of conversations about the goodness of God, the promises of God. What does it mean to be a Christian and follow Christ and, you know, his steps? You know, what are the challenges with that? And what are the rewards that come with that? And what does that look like? And because we have those conversations ahead of time, when things happen, like my friend showing up, we've, you know, months ago, we had the conversation about our house as an asset. So when they happen, I can respond confidently knowing that this is the right thing to do as a Christian and that my wife is 100% on board with what we're doing.
That's that communication. That's all it takes.
It's helpful.
That's and I'm gonna say this because a lot of times when things happen, I'm gonna be totally transparent right now. In the Black culture, we have a tendency to say things like, "Oh, well, that's what white people do," right? We all, you know what I mean? It'd be like it's not even about. It's about the Christian way to doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, yo, like, we gotta stop that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the Christian way to do it, you know? But yo, that was stuff. What you guys are doing, that's stuff that I will always like dream about. Like,
thank you.
I remember there was a lady walking up the street. She had these bags. And like this bags. So I'm literally like, do you need some help? And it doesn't even matter. The fact that I asked for her help, the fact that I offered my help to her, it didn't matter where she was going. I was gonna walk with her till she got her destination because I put myself out there. But one time, I lied to you not. I offered some lady help from the train station to the bus, got off the bus to her apartment. These bags were heavy as crap. They were so heavy. I was like, dang. But I was like, you know what? I don't regret helping her. I was struggling with them bags because I seen her struggling. But I was like, you know what? I'ma just, you know what I'm saying? Like I'ma just take the heat and do the right thing. You know, but
I think
Thank y'all.
good.
No, you want to ask something? Go ahead.
There's that passage where it talks about don't forget to show hospitality to strangers, for many saints have entertained angels unawares. So there's always times where, like, you know, I mean, we live in Chester, right? So it's a very impoverished area, and there's lots of opportunity to do lots of things. And I always think, like, one of these better be an angel, because this is rough, right? Like, this is just another human, and I ain't getting credit for this. Like, this better be some celestial being, because I am not having fun here. So maybe that was your opportunity for entertaining angels. And, you know, I'd be curious. I mean, like, I guess, you know, we're running out of time, but I'd be curious to hear, like, how that act of service in your life helped you with your own sanctification. Like, what are the, like, how did God use, like, the act itself is good, right? That's what you're supposed to do as a Christian. What happened through that caused you to grow? You know, or was there anything even? Tables have turned.
Yeah, like, I've done a lot of things, and I feel like God is still rewarding and showing me other things to do as well. Cause like, it's like I think that's her first time hearing that story. Like, I've done a lot, and then it's just like, just taking it out. It is, you know, sometimes, like, this is this book called, like, The Go Giver, and it's talking about, like, when you give without expectation. You know what I mean? It's just like, look, like, God, I don't know if it was a blessing in this, but I shouldn't be doing it for a blessing. I should be doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, that's like the question I always ask, like, do you hold the door for someone just to hear thank you, or are you literally holding the door for them just to get in? Like,
yeah,
I've gone through the whole
car.
thing of hearing it.
You're just at Wawa. That's what you do. You have to hold the door at Wawa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, but then, you know, it's some people who are like, you ain't gonna say thank you, and it's like, did you only want to hear thank you? Like, what if there wasn't a door? You wouldn't have heard nothing but me walking by you. Like, I've been on both sides. I've heard thank you and I didn't hear thank you, but my situation was like, it makes sense, you're right behind me, or I'm just here and it's a habit of me just making sure you get in. Like, I'm not doing, like, I don't have a jar of thank yous to cash in nowhere. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Thank yous for this week.
Yeah, like Chuck E. Cheese tickets or something. Like, I get the stereo. I finally got my 1000th thank you. Like, it's just like, you gonna hold the door. Like, just hold the door, dang. Like, but it gets like that sometimes.
So, well, they get the report on earth, and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
That earthly praise. Right. Well, I feel like we could hang out all night. So I'm gonna let you wrap this up. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep riffing and.
I'm just gonna call out of work, and then we're just gonna be on here like breakfast.
I got the COVID. I can't come in for 2 weeks.
Right. So, we do want to take this time, and offer Christ to somebody. You know, 21 people watching right now, and look, like, if you guys don't know God, you know, like, you don't know Jesus, and you want to get to know Him, why not get to know Him now? You know, if you want to be saved, tomorrow is not promised. You know, if anything that you've done in your life, anything, and it doesn't even matter, you can be saved. Your life can be renewed, and if that's you, you could just say these. You could just say these simple words. Just say, Lord, I'm sorry. I know that you have died on the cross for my sins. Thank you. Thank you for dying on the cross for my sins. I'm putting everything on the table. I want you to come into my life. I want to be remarried to you. I want to be one with you. I want to try my best to be obedient. I want you to guide me. I want you to take the wheel from here. I don't want to drive anymore, but I want you in the driver's seat. I want you to come into my life. And God, I am accepting you in my life right now. If you said that and you meant that, then you are saved. then you are saved. It's never too late. It's never too late to accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, no matter what you've done. And congratulations for whoever that is. If you need prayer, just type it in the chat. We'll say a quick prayer, and if I don't see any prayer requests, look, Tyler or Kim, if you guys would just do the honors and just pray us out, and we're gonna call you when we get out of here, because it's something we want to share with you guys real quick.
Yeah.
And yep.
It's like when the teacher asks you to stay after class. It's like, it's All right, let's pray. Father God, you are an absolutely amazing God. We don't appreciate how incredible you are nearly enough. We thank you for your word and all that your word teaches us. We thank you for your unbelievable faithfulness. We thank you for the picture of marriage that you've given us, that Paul tells us is a picture of Christ in the church, and that it's an incredible and beautiful mystery. And Father, I think about when you tell us that husbands are to love Christ as he loved the church, and I think about how the whole Old Testament, there's the faithlessness of Israel and God's relentless pursuit of them. Help myself and Jeremiah and those watching to be that kind of husband that relentlessly pursues and loves our wives well. For all the people out there that are still virgins and are still fighting that battle, God, I pray that you would surround them with protection, give them wisdom, help them to be acutely aware that they are in not just a physical battle over their own bodies, but that this is really a spiritual battle, that the devil is seeking to weaken them, to weaken their marriages, to weaken their credibility to unsaved people, and that a huge part of it is their own chastity. So God, I pray that you would continue to bless this ministry, and that you would continue to give us opportunities to come alongside young people and encourage them in their walks with you, so that we would have strong, powerful, spiritual followers of you in the days to come, that you would continue to raise up that army and not give the devil a stronghold in our communities. Praise in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, man. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You guys got anything coming up?
I got work in the morning.
Yep.
Hot yoga Friday night.
Okay.
I'll see you
this is the time to.
Or where can they find you on social media?
Where can you find you?
Or
we don't really have any.
So if you really are interested, my address is 209 West 23rd Street, Chester, PA. Most Saturdays and Sundays, the house is open and people show up and we just talk about the Bible.
wow,
really?
That's cool.
Oh, snap.
And
he's serious.
I used to just
all right, bet we gonna pull up
breakfast and see who would come, and we would just hang out, and it was mostly college guys that were like, "Hey, I read this and don't have a clue what it means." And I'm like, "Let's get into it." But there is that open invite. I don't know, how do people contact me? I've hidden myself from social media because it wasn't helpful.
Okay.
So I'm just not on there.
Yeah. Tyler gets angry at social media, so
it's
you one of those.
Yeah, well, no, it's not like I'm not out there political ranting. I'm just dear Christians, try loving people, and then I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
Hold up, hey,
nice to people.
Hey, Tyler. Can you guys put the address in the chat, and I'll pin it for everybody to see.
Sure, or my email if you want to just email, and we can connect at sometime. TS Rodkey, RODKEY @live. Do that one.
Oh, at live. Oh, that's the real one. That's the real one.
Yeah. One I checked.
Everyone has their fake one that you use for all the scorecards.
The fake one. That's
yeah. So if you like shoot me an email, I'll give you my text, and you can like hit me up if you're coming over, and we'll hang out. Just to make sure that I'm physically present. We have an open door policy with people. You can always just come here, and if you need stuff, if we're here, we're happy to help you. If not, the door's still unlocked. Because when you live in Chester, you don't want them to break your door while they're robbing you, because then you have to pay for a door.
Right.
But yeah, you're welcome to come in.
I used to live in Chester.
Okay, so you know what's up, right?
I mean, I'm not from Chester, but I used to live there.
Okay.
I used to my parents had a house there. Then we moved back to the hood. See, I wasn't in the ghetto in Chester. Like, I lived on the block with the mayor and the fire chief. Like,
Okay,
I didn't know Chester had a ghetto because we left the ghetto.
Like over by
But
Park.
then we went back. You said what?
Over by Chester Park, that area?
I was on Parkway Avenue.
Yeah, okay, you're like a couple blocks from me. I mean, like maybe half a mile that way. Yeah.
Okay.
You know where you're at.
That was a long time ago. I was like 6.
Well, there you go.
That wasn't that long ago.
It was.
He's only it's like no.
She always try.
Well, it's different for you, right? Because you have the age on it. Like Kim will be like, I remember like 10 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, grade school, you know?
I know you, and it's hard because of the compatibility. I do forget. We only are reminded when someone asks the same questions we've asked you guys. So I'll be like, remember when? And he'd be like, no, and I'm like, oh yeah, never mind, I forgot.
Oh yeah, you weren't alive yet.
Right, like,
Right.
But it's a handful of movies that I am surprised he know about, so that it works. But music wise, it's like you don't. Never mind.
I told her I was saved all my life. DMX ain't raised me.
I was.
DMX ain't raised me.
I was not. I was Salt and Pepper. I was everybody. I was Belle Biv DeVoe. We grew up with a whole lot of genres, and then eventually, found our way to the Lord. But whatever.
Yeah.
And the music left.
But all right, y'all. Let's we're about to call you guys real quick.
Okay.
Yo, thank y'all.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all.